Actions and awareness are one, as God is doing everything lovingly for me. Inspired by this quote here from Neville's book, The Power of Awareness, where he states, "The question is often asked, what should be done between the assumption of the wish fulfilled and its realization? Nothing. It is a delusion that other than assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you can do anything to aid the realization of your desire." So from personal experience, as we've been discussing, and we went into this to a deeper degree in Thursday's video, which I'll link to in the description, actions and awareness are experienced as one while the individual remains in their flow, as they realize that I am taking care of everything. That's God's name, I am. One of the easiest ways that I found to do this is to, as applicable, be still. I got asked an interesting question the other day on my flow-based prosperity service, which, if you're interested in that, I'll link in the description to it. What is the practice that I do now if I am about to react to the appearances? Well, firstly, I am beyond reactivity. The individual that appears may be identified with an illusion of separation, confessing that I am not fulfilled. No shame and condemnation. I am fulfilled as God exists in a complete state of fulfillment. What does God lack? To suggest that God lacks anything would generate an illusion of separation-based experience, where the individual experiences suffering, which is unreal to God. The individual generates that through identification to illusions of separation-based thinking. So the illusion of separation-based thinking is released by being still, by taking a moment to be still. We acknowledge that I am devoid of separation. By being still, I know that I am complete love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. So I gave that response, and I also gave another response. I said, it wasn't always like this for me. It is a lot easier for me now to, if I appear to, because I am beyond reactivity, so I can only appear to, the individual can only appear to react to appearances as a result of identification to an illusion of separation, where the individual may be thinking in terms of trying to force or control. Illusions of control. I refer to this as the illusions of I. So the individual may be trying to force or control the experience to be in a particular way, rather than resting assured in the sure foundation. I relax into knowing that I am taking care of everything for me. Being still. I can of myself do nothing. The Father within doeth the work. Or as stated here, John 5:30. I can of mine own self do nothing, because I seek not mine own will, but the will of the Father which hath sent me, which happens to be perfect and pleasing, as articulated in Romans 12:2. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you'll be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will. So by the individual renewing the mind, by being still, they release identification to the illusory beliefs of separation, to realize and manifest the perfect and pleasing will of God. So I also mentioned that in the earlier stages, I applied autosuggestion and also emotional release and also self-talk, which is what I would like to discuss with you today. Because these particular modalities allows us to walk through the release of that identification. I did a discussion on this where you could use 14 language patterns to release identification to the illusions of I, the untrue beliefs that are generating that resistance. I'll link in the description to that video. I also mentioned emotional release because they may be very identified with particular thinking patterns with regards to emotions. Rather than acknowledging that emotions are energy in motion and we can allow them to be released through practicing, for example, what we discussed in the 7-day mental and emotional diet video, which I did recently, which many have messaged me and shared the benefits as we consider both thought and emotion in that video. I'll link in the description to that. So, emotional release, self-talk, allowed me to, in the moment, release the identification to the illusions of separation, the beliefs that generate in mind thoughts that suggest that I am not fulfilled, which is clearly untrue. I am fulfilled. The individual may think, I am not fulfilled, yet that is taking the Lord's name in vain, as I am fulfilled. So I also created auto-suggestions from the premise of truth, the fact that I am love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment, releases the illusions of separation. And practically speaking, what happens is actions and awareness are experienced as one. As a person flows in their conversation, they know what to do. It happens ideally automatically. We experience this while we're in flow state, which is why I always recommend making flow a priority, or as we discussed in Thursday's video, surrender to the flow of God, which is perfect and pleasing. So in the earlier stages, more so, I applied auto-suggestion, I applied self-talk, I applied emotional release. And as mind was purified from the illusions of separation from God, the untrue beliefs that appeared as thoughts in mind that suggested otherwise in relation to appearances, not from the premise of truth, not from the premise of I am love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment now. As those illusory beliefs were released in mind was purified to the degree where it became easier to, in the moment, if I was about to react to something, to be still and release that identification. As we've been discussing, the illusions in mind only appear to disappear to reveal the reality of God, which is perfect and pleasing. Practically speaking again, it is experienced as harmonious relationships, harmonious business, harmonious life experiences, more and more so each moment with increasing frequency on a continuous basis as far as the senses perceive. And going back to the title of the mind map here, actions and awareness are one as God is doing everything. It is actually experienced. Actions and awareness are experienced as one. As soul doership is an illusion, as articulated in the Bhagavad Gita. If I think of myself as the sole doer, I may generate illusions of separation in mind from the source of love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment within, which is God. Which in the Bible it says here also, I can of mine own self do nothing, because I seek not mine own will, but the will of the Father which had sent me. Which again is good, pleasing, and perfect, as God exists in a perfect state of love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. Because God only sees the individual as love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. The individual may think otherwise and generate illusions of separation. So, through the practice of being still, simply being still if the individual is about to react to appearances, because they may think this appearance suggests not happiness, not peace, not bliss, not fulfillment, not love. That kind of illusory based thinking exists only in mind. Where does it exist? It can exist only in mind. How do I know this? Because when those illusory thoughts were released by being still, through autosuggestion, through emotional release, through self-talk, one of those, or even done in a combination, reality is experienced. And by that I mean reality experienced as the perfect, pleasing will of God. Love-based, happiness-based, peace-based, bliss-based, fulfillment-based, prosperity-based. As we had discussed in our group, I gave an example of a combination way of applying it. For example, if I was about to react to the appearance, I am aware of it, as I am aware of what I think, what I feel. I am aware of what and I know that I am love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. So if I imagine otherwise, it is clearly untrue. So in that moment, I may feel strong emotions arising. Rather than trying to suppress or repress the emotions, I allow the emotions to be released. I may even engage in a self-talk, which turns from thinking of the end to thinking from the end. What is meant by that is, let's say, if a person in front of me appears to disagree, so a conversation in my mind would be, oh, this person appears to disagree. That means I am not fulfilled. Is it true? Maybe they're presenting to me an insight, as I know that reality is rigged in my favor, as the will of God is good, perfect, and pleasing. So while the emotions are being released, that self-talk is also facilitating the emotional release. Then after that, I realized that it was untrue. And I think from the fact that I am fulfilled, I am love, I am peace, I am bliss, I am happiness. And then I may suggest to myself through autosuggestion, I may say, this person is in my favor. We appear to be in each other's favor, as everyone appears synchronistically to be in synchronicity in the true reality of God, which is perfect, pleasing, and in perfect harmony. Something like that. And then what happens is I actually see the insight that they are sharing. So again, that was a combination way of doing it. So one of those things can be done, autosuggestion from the premise of truth, emotional release, self-talk, being still, or in a way of combination. And what I found is, as a result of applying this over the years, mind became purified from the untrue, illusory beliefs of separation, which God does not generate. It is only the illusions of I that can suggest separation from God, which is untrue, unreal, illusory. And so we could do this to experience that what we desire physically, and also experience actions and awareness as one, as God is doing everything. And so Neville states, to emphasize, we must begin to take life consciously. For the solution of all problems, or we could say seeming problems, lies just in this. The second man, the Lord from heaven in all of us, is trying to become self-conscious in the body, that he may be about his Father's business. What are his labors? To imitate his Father, to become master of the Word, master of his inner talking, that he may mold this world of ours into a likeness with the kingdom of love. So we see a number of key insights here, which include to imitate his Father. Number 2, to become master of the Word, master of his inner talking. And number 3, mold this world of ours into a likeness with the kingdom of love. As we've been discussing, I am, which is God's name, love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. So how do I mold this world of mine, which may appear to suggest otherwise, which is a result of identification to illusory thinking that it would suggest otherwise, as the individual suggests what the world appears as? How do I become master of the Word so that I can mold this world from the premise of truth into a likeness with the kingdom of love? So we could say that your heaven on earth, which I find also is experienced as heaven on earth based relationships, where everybody appears to also experience heaven on earth with you. more so each moment, with increasing frequency, on a continuous basis, as far as the senses perceive. How do we go about doing it? Well, from what I found from personal experience, again, I've been applying this information since 2004, when I discovered it in the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It was autosuggestion, self-talk, emotional release, and being still. I personally didn't think one was better than the other. I used whatever was applicable in the moment that I felt was the most appropriate for the moment, and also related to what I mentioned in the beginning here. Actions and awareness are one, as God is doing everything. As Neville had mentioned, the question is often asked, what should be done between the assumption of the wish fulfilled and its realization? Nothing. It is a delusion that other than assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, that I am love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment, the perfect, pleasing will of God, I can do anything to aid the realization of your desire. As God is doing everything for you, the illusions of separation that the individual may identify with may seem to generate illusions of separation-based suffering. Yet those are illusory realities, we could say, that are generated through identification of illusory beliefs of separation from God. As stated in John 5:30, I can of myself do nothing, because I seek not mine own will, but the will of the Father which had sent me. So I release the illusions of I, generating the separation-based experiences in relationships, in my business, in my day-to-day life. I release those illusions of control, as actions and awareness are experienced as one, as God is doing everything. Spirit animates all in a harmonious way to be in mutual harmony and in contribution. The perfect and pleasing will of God is love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment, and is experienced that way with relationships, with the day-to-day initiatives on the journey to manifesting your vision. To think otherwise would generate illusions of separation, which, again, are only illusions of separation. There is no separation between you and God. So we can say then, I surrender into the flow of God through autosuggestion, self-talk, being still, emotional release, one of those or in combination. And as mind is purified, we automatically become about the Father's business, to imitate the Father. So what happens then, it is easier to mediate God. You'll notice that you automatically imagine people lovingly. You'll automatically imagine circumstances lovingly, peacefully, blissfully. It automatically happens as mind is purified from these untrue beliefs. That is what I mentioned, is that it is easier now to be still, whereas in the earlier stages, it was challenging. Because temptations would arise in mind, let's say, where it appeared that there was a disagreement. It was challenging for me. I would want to pick a fight growing up. Some of my clients don't even imagine me even having done that before, but that's what I used to do back in the days. End up in arguments, end up in fights. So what I'm saying is anyone can do this, as you and I are no different. In the earlier stages, I applied autosuggestion, self-talk, emotional release, and then it became easier to be still, to simply be still and know that I am love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment, unconditionally. Thus, I seek no approval, validation, or confirmation of the fact that I am love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. By being still, by taking a moment and being still in the presence of God, you realize your true nature is love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. And thus you don't react to the appearances, and the appearances appear to transform to be in your favor. Which again is the reality of God, as stated in Romans 12:2. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you'll be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. So I trust you found this video to be helpful. Let's conclude this with an autosuggestion to further encourage. You could say, I realize that I am taking care of everything for me, as God's will is perfect, good, and pleasing. Thus, I surrender to the flow of God as actions and awareness are experienced as one, now, manifesting the path of least resistance, a flow-based, joyous, blissful journey to manifesting my heart's desires, the promises of God, symbols of love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment, with increasing frequency on a continuous basis as far as the senses perceive, in harmonious relationship with all, to represent the reality of God. If you would like a copy of this mind map, the link is in the description. Thank you very much for watching. I'll talk with you soon. Take care.